Hey guys, mahal everyone, 40 the Broadway Saiyan here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel with another video on Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia, bringing you guys part 9 of my series, The X Factor. In part 9, we're going to be talking about 4 EX weapons for the characters in Opera Omnia: Maria, Thancred, Seymour, and Palem. And something to note that upon the making of this video, the EX weapons for both Thancred and Seymour are actually already live in Global. So I'm going to be super excited to be talking about these 4 EX weapons. So some things to remember if you're new to the series: EX weapons are weapons that are not only powerful, but they grant a character 70 CP at base, and it caps out to 80 CP when you fully level and limit break them. EX abilities also have a various recast speed ranging from either slow to fast, so it all depends on the ability. And the video series is not only intended to show off the amazing weapons, but it also helps newer players and free-to-play players understand if some of these characters can still do fairly well even without the EX weapons. And I only say this because EX weapons, out of all the 5-star weapons, do have the lowest drop rate, so it's pretty hard to get them unless you're pretty lucky. So anyways, we're going to talk about Thancred first. And something interesting about Thancred is that Global surprised us with his rework as of yesterday upon the making of this video, so that was pretty crazy. So with that, they did give us his EX weapon. So we're going to talk about what this does. So the name of this EX weapon is called Nagi. It gives him the EX ability, and I'm sorry if I butcher this pronunciation, Bavakakra. Bavakakra. Very interesting name for an EX ability, but anyways, this is going to be a 4-hit magic brave plus HP attack. It has a 600% brave damage potency. However, it does have a 800% for the plus version, which is very high. It also has a 120% overflow mechanic, and it's at 200% for the plus version. Now, while Bavakakra is equipped, or after he uses ability, Thancred's brave and HP attacks are going to be granting him 1 stack of something called Ninki, and this is actually going to be floating above his head as a separate, it's a separate icon. It's not a buff icon. And then his abilities Jugulating Wasp and Shadowfang will be granting him 2 stacks of Ninki, and this caps out to 5 stacks of this. I guess you could call it a unique buff, but it's like an icon that's like right above his head. So when Ninki is at 3 stacks or more, his brave attack is going to be changing to brave attack plus, and then his EX ability Bavakakra will be changing to that plus version. And after you use his plus version of Bavakakra, 3 stacks are going to be consumed. And the recast speed for this EX ability is slightly slow. Now at 1 limit break, the brave damage is going to be increased for his EX ability Bavakakra and also for the plus version. At 2, it's going to be raising the recast speed for this ability. And then at 3, it's going to permanently grant him 20% attack and max brave increase. And it's also going to be changing his HP attack to HP attack plus, which not only does it inflict HP damage, but it also inflicts poison on the target based on 40% of their initial brave for 6 turns. So the verdict on this weapon is it's absolutely amazing. You have high damage. I mean, 600%, 800%, that's really high damage. You have great overflow and a special stacking, like I said, it's a special stacking buff or icon for even more damage for Thancred. However, with that being said, because he just got his rework early in Global, I feel like that even if you don't have good luck in pulling this EX weapon, Thancred himself is still going to be a hard-hitting unit because he does have his rework. So this is going to be my opinion on that, but if you still decide to pull for this weapon, go ahead, because it makes Thancred that much more powerful. Now the first banner appearance, well, for JP, the first banner appearance for this weapon was actually on the Final Fantasy XIV banner, and in JP, this actually came out a little before the character Golbez came out. However, as we know, on Global, we got it as of the making of this video right now on a different banner. It does have yet to repeat on the JP side of the game, but for the Global version of the game, because Square can pretty much surprise us at any time, you never know, it might come back earlier for those of us that miss out on this amazing EX weapon. Now the second weapon we're going to talk about is going to be for Palom. So Palom's EX weapon is called Stardust Rod. This gives him the ability Stardust. So Stardust is first a 2-hit AoE non-elemental magic brave plus HP attack. The HP damage that this deals is dealt evenly amongst multiple targets. It also inflicts a debuff called Ice Imperil or Ice Resist Down for 4 turns, making that target more vulnerable to ice magic. And it also grants Palom Enchant Ice to himself for 6 turns, which allows essentially his brave attacks to be having the ice element. However, keep in mind that in order to have this buff, you do need this weapon to be 2 out of 3 limit broke broken. After the 2-hit AoE non-elemental magic brave plus HP attack, it's going to be followed by a 5-hit AoE non-elemental magic brave plus HP attack. The total brave damage potency for both attacks combined is at 425%, and it does have a 1.6 times damage increase on a single target. It also extends the duration of his 2 unique buffs, Power of Black Magic and Wisdom of Black Magic, by 3 turns, as well as extending the duration of Brave Attack Plus and his dual cast unique buff by 3 turns. It also has a recast speed of normal. Now at 1 limit break, it's going to be giving him a brave damage increase for this ability. At 2, it grants him that enchant ice for 6 turns after Stardust's first brave plus HP attack, and then at 3, it raises the recast speed for Stardust. Now what is my verdict on this EX weapon? So while it does lack overflow, because for a lot of damage dealing units, overflow is kind of a big thing right now, especially where we are in the game. I feel like the high damage, it's still at 425%, which it's not the highest, but that's still pretty high, and the fairly fast recast speed for this EX is a great asset for Palom, because one of his biggest weaknesses is he has to keep casting his abilities to essentially reach the stronger versions, which I never understood why they designed him that way. It's probably because, you know, he's such a arrogant mage in the lore that he feels he doesn't need to go all out, so then he's like giving them a hint of his power every single time. However, because of the faster recast speed for this weapon, remember, whenever you use abilities, it builds up that EX bar faster, so then that way you'll have another option for damage, giving him a little bit more longevity when you're using him for longer battles. The first banner appearance is going to be Palom Lost Chapters, which is going to be arriving fairly soon in the global version of the game, as announced on the Square Enix stream. However, it does have yet to repeat on the JP side, but again, like I said earlier, Square could do literally anything right now with the global version of the game, so they may repeat this after the Lost Chapters much earlier. Who knows what'll happen. Alright, the third EX weapon we're going to talk about is going to be Seymour's, which is currently live in the global version of the game. It's called Mortar Body Staff. So this EX ability he's going to be getting is called Requiem from this weapon. This is going to be a 3-hit AoE non-elemental magic brave plus HP attack with a 270% brave damage potency. It may not seem like much for an EX ability, but first of all, the HP damage is dispersed evenly amongst multiple targets, and then it does get a 1.5 damage increase against debuff targets, and if there's only one, there's an additional 1.6, so the damage can actually ramp up if you actually meet these requirements. The recast speed on this ability will be slightly slow. At 1 limit break, it's going to get that standard brave damage increase for this EX ability. At 2, it's going to be granting him 1 stack of a unique buff called Seymour's Respite or Respite. I do apologize if I mispronounced that, for 6 turns. The stacks caps out at 3, and for each stack, it's going to be increasing his attack and max brave, as well as allowing this ability to have overflow, which, like we said, is pretty important now for units that like to deal damage. So at 1 stack, it's going to be giving him 10% attack and max brave with a 120% brave overflow. At 2, that jumps up to 20% attack and max brave with 150% brave overflow, and then at 3, which is the cap, it's at 30% attack and max brave with 200% brave overflow. And then at 3 limit break, it raises the recast speed for the EX ability. So the verdict on Seymour's Mortar Body Staff: if you plan on using this character, he's essentially the magic version of Tidus. I highly recommend that you grab this weapon. It's very powerful. It gives him a unique stacking buff, but also the potential to deal even more damage if you fulfill the requirements of either the target being debuffed, or if they're debuffed and they're alone, they're by themselves. But keep in mind, to really capitalize on this weapon's damage, first of all, you're going to need it to be limit broken 2 out of 3 times, and then you always need to constantly recast it. So just want to keep that in mind if you want it to really reach its strongest state with the overflow. Now, its first banner appearance is on the Seymour EX banner from an Awakening batch, which it did follow that on the global version of the game as well as the JP side. It does have yet to repeat, but again, Square can do whatever they want. They might surprise us, so we might see it again after this. Alright, so the last weapon we're going to talk about is going to be Maria's Dark Bow. It gives her the EX ability Explosive Bow, which is going to be a 3-hit range brave plus HP attack. It has a 600 brave damage potency, which is very high. It deals 50% HP splash damage to other targets, so exactly like Squall's Renzokuken Plus, and it also inflicts a unique debuff called Explosion for 5 turns. And Explosion, what this does is it steals brave from the target based on 20% of their initial brave, and then it applies it as a brave heal to the party. I mean, not to the target. I wrote target, but I meant to the party. So it's a party brave heal whenever that happens, and that's for 5 turns, which that's actually pretty powerful if you think about it. That's constantly happening per turn. And the recast speed for this ability is slow, but just off of that unique debuff, you know, this is I feel like that's fair. That's a really good unique debuff. So at 1 limit break, it's going to be increasing the brave damage for the ability. At 2, it increases the unique debuff explosions potency. So now it's going to be stealing 60% of the target's 60% brave based on the target's initial brave, which is pretty crazy if you think about it. And then at 3, it's going to be raising the recast speed for explosive bow. So my thoughts on this weapon is, so not only does it hit very hard, 600% is no joke, but now it introduces us to a unique way to drain the enemy's brave while simultaneously healing our party's brave. So imagine stacking explosion with sap and poison. That's a lot of essentially residual brave that's being taken away from the enemy every turn. And so imagine your enemy's brave is hardly replenishing itself during their turn, and then at the same time replenishing your party. So if you plan on using Maria for a while, especially because she's like an offensive healer, this is an absolute must if you decide to use her in your party. So her first banner appearance for this weapon is going to be for her Lost Chapters, which we know this is also coming soon because it was announced during the last Square Enix live stream. However, it does have yet to repeat. Alright guys, well that is going to be it for part 9 for these 4 amazing EX weapons. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video and found it useful. Once again, this is 40 the Broadway Saiyan. Stay tuned for my next video, and mahal everyone.